Welcome to the Showtime All the Time podcast. I'm Dennis Bickmeier, the Executive Director of the Henrico Sports and Entertainment Authority, and I'm joined by two members of our business development team today, Megan Hazzard, Michael McCormack. Thanks for joining today.
Yep.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, we're going to jump into a packed 2026 schedule with tournaments and special events. But first, I want to talk a little bit about your roles and responsibilities. So if you guys can just share a little bit, kind of your day-to-day responsibilities, people that you interact with, tournament organizers, and everything. We'll start with Megan, and then we'll roll over to Michael.
Yeah, so manager of business development and event operations. So I work really closely with a lot of the event coordinators and our director of operations at the Sports Center for our indoor events. And on the outdoor side, we work really closely with Henrico Recreation and Parks, kind of everyone from the sports league coordinators to the park services staff to get all of our events set up on the logistical side. But on our business development side, we work really closely with a lot of the promoters. Richmond Region Tourism is one of our biggest partners. You know, we meet with these promoters and go to conferences to bid on these events to bring them to the region. So kind of our day-to-day is event logistics to prepare and plan for these big events and also to sell the region and get those events here.
And then Michael, too, the other component of that is getting everything to fit on a calendar as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. No, it's a giant puzzle. And I think one thing that really works in our favor is we've been doing this for quite some time. Henrico County's been doing it for quite some time, and we've done well with it. So we've got a lot of tournament promoters. I mean, when I think about on the outdoor side, we're so fortunate, obviously, to have Richmond United here, who runs Jefferson Cup and Capital Fall Classic. USA Softball, you know, we know every single year there's 6 weekends going to them. Prep Baseball Report now is up to 18 tournaments, and it'll grow to 30 with the expansion at Glover, which I'm sure we'll talk about today. You know, on the indoor side, groups like Big Shots Basketball, which eat up 6 of our weekends. It's a good problem to have, right? When you have so many strong operators that are eating up so many of your weekends, then you've got a lot of people who want to get in here, and then they're not necessarily thrilled when they find out, hey, sorry, we've already got it filled, but maybe in the future we can get you in.
Well, and we're going to talk about that calendar and how packed the calendar is, both outdoor and indoor. But before we get into that and discussion about, you know, what's ahead, you've been at this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen sports tourism evolve over the years, and certainly it's kind of on this major trajectory of popularity and driving a lot of the tourism business here in our region. Just talk a little bit about what you've seen over the years and the evolution of the sports tourism.
So I think, put it in perspective, the very first tournament that I ever booked for Henrico County was a 8-team ultimate Frisbee tournament, and I was so proud of myself for booking that 8-team. You know, I mean, and again, it's cool, and I should stress, like, no matter how big or small the event is, we want it, right? Because it still generates economic impact for Henrico County, for the region. But I just say that because then you juxtapose it against what I now consider to be my personal, with help from Richmond Region Tourism and our great staff at the Sports and Events Center, biggest win, which is that next Pro Puma event, which is 500 plus teams, right? So it just kind of shows the evolution over the course of the last 6-7 years of where Henrico has been and where we continue to go with facility investment and just making sure we're always staying at the forefront of this industry. But then the other piece that I've noticed over the last couple of years is just how competitive this space has been. Here in Central Virginia, when I first moved into the tourism role in late 2019, we were really the only county in Central Virginia that was making a concerted effort to market ourselves as a destination for sports tourism. Now you look, and not only everybody in Central Virginia is doing it, but everybody across the state of Virginia is doing it, and everybody nationally is doing it. So, you know, when Megan and I go to these trade shows, gosh, I mean, it seems like the ratio of destinations versus actual right holders is what, like 3, 4, 5 to 1. There's a lot more of us than there are people with events. So it's definitely a more competitive space than it ever was.
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, I mean, just up and down the Mid-Atlantic, you know, we see it, and we, you know, a lot of the event organizers that we work with are doing a lot of events up and down the Mid-Atlantic. So again, it creates a full calendar. But before we get to that, Megan, you mentioned bidding and bid on events. Talk a little bit about that dynamic and how these opportunities come to us, or what are you guys doing to source these opportunities?
Well, like Michael said, we travel to these conferences and we travel in partnership with Richmond Region Tourism and some of our other jurisdictions. So we meet firsthand with these promoters face to face, which is always really great for our relationship building. And so then they can send us their RFP, their request for proposal, and we'll get together with Richmond Region Tourism, we'll put the facility proposal together. They'll put together the hotel room nights and kind of the regional amenities that we can also sell, the things to do, the activities around the region. So we'll put together a really nice proposal package to send back to the promoters to show them everything that we offer, not just from the facility, but from the great hotels, from the great activities you can do throughout the region. So we meet them face to face, but we also subscribe to a lot of different websites that provide a whole database to meet these promoters where they can put in their RFP. Let's say these conferences are during their busy season, they can't travel. So we don't meet them at the conference, but we can still have access to them digitally with their RFP. And then we can email that out. We set up calls. We also host fam tours here. So we bring them to us and pay for them to come to really showcase our facilities throughout the region. So it takes a lot of communication, some creativity, and a lot of good collaboration and partnership with our regional partners.
I certainly think the coordination too, given the facilities, the Rec and Parks was mentioned in our early discussion as well, and everything that we do to collaborate with them as well. And I think the other thing too that I want to stress to everybody too is kind of the other piece of our portfolio is to create our own events as well. So we do have it, and we're going to touch on a few of them, some of the ones that we consider that we own and operate, just to diversify the portfolio a little bit. So we'll touch on those in a minute. All right, so we're going to dive in the schedule and what's happening. I know it's cold outside, but we're going to start with the outdoor activities, or some of the outdoor activities. And Michael, I want to lead off with the Glover Park baseball facility, the Six Diamond Complex, and the partnership that we have with the county and with Prep Baseball Report, and kind of what that's going to do with our baseball tournaments. You mentioned earlier, we're 18 with those guys. We can see it going to 30, but talk a little bit about what's ahead with the baseball complex.
Yeah, so it's a really cool project. So we're going to have 6 full-size, we call them 60-90 synthetic turf baseball diamonds, which that's so key, obviously, especially in the summer months when you're dealing with pop-up storms. It seems like every single day, and our ball field guys are doing everything they can to get us up and running and get us through those storms, and they obviously do a great job. And we're still going to be relying on them because, I think with the growth that PBR is seeing in this region, they're not going to be limited to just playing at Glover Park. We're still going to be relying heavily on our high school and our other park sites. But yeah, it really gives us an opportunity to we talked a little bit about facility development and all the facilities popping up all over the country. A complex with 6 full-size baseball fields is going to be pretty unique, especially with where we are in the Mid-Atlantic region. So it really kind of gives us an opportunity to plant our flag on the ground and say, hey, we are going to be one of the preeminent destinations in the entire country for high-level high school age baseball and also college baseball. We've got designs on bidding on some college opportunities there. And to be able to do it with a partner in Prep Baseball Report where selfishly it takes a little bit of the weight off of mine and Megan's shoulders. We don't have to go out there and find baseball promoters to come in and run tournaments every single weekend. PBR is going to do that. They're going to own and operate and run their own events, and then also work with us on special event bids that we want to go after, whether that's high school state championships, college conference championships, you name it. We're going to go after it, and we're going to have really good partners to work with on it. So.
I always tell people that Six Diamond Complex will have a little bit of a spring training feel to it if you've been to a spring training complex. And then certainly the stadium is a nice added piece to that.
I was going to say, I forgot to mention one of those will have that stadium component with 500 fixed seats, additional seating in the outfield berms, a full press box, video board, all the amenities, Musco lighting, all the amenities that it would take to actually be able to host some of these high profile events. So.
And then with that too, obviously there's community amenities that are coming to the Glover Park expansion. There's a 5K walking, running trail, but also I know a lot of our local groups and a lot of our event organizers are thrilled about the 2 multi-purpose fields, 2 additional multi-purpose fields that are coming to that. Megan, talk a little bit about what that's going to do, to our schedule and some added events at Glover on the multis.
Yeah, we were really excited for that expansion. It gives us further opportunities for events that were too large that we couldn't even bid on, and now we were able to book a couple of new events. So this year we'll have in Atlantic Coast D1 College Regional for USA Ultimate. So we'll bring some of the top 16 men's and women's teams to Glover. That was a 6 multi-purpose field requirement. So, we'll have 12 Ultimate Frisbee fields going at once. We couldn't host that before, but we were able to bid on that and win that event. as well as the Future Champions lacrosse event that'll have over 2,000 athletes on site. Again, the requirement for that was at least 4 multi-purpose fields, and now with 6, we were actually in the running to win that event. And all of those athletes will get a ticket to the national championship up at UVA. So we had some good partnership with Charlottesville on that. And then the USA Round Net North American Championships.
Spike ball is how I know it.
We all know it as spike ball, kind of the fun beach game. But we were able to work with Richmond Tourism to bid on that event. It'll be on all 6 fields. And that'll bring over, 200 to 250 teams to the Richmond region in October. So we're excited that we were even able to bid on those this year. So those are new ones on the calendar. And then we're able to bring back other events, and now they have room for growth. And that's been really exciting to be able to offer additional fields for teams that might have been at capacity because of the 4-field limit.
Yeah, and I know just this part of the discussion is focused on Glover, but we go end to end in the county with outdoor facilities. So we've talked baseball, and some of these other special events, but still heavy in the softball world, lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, cricket. I'm sure I'm missing some other outdoor activities that we have spread across our calendar.
If
so
there's a sport that can be played, we want to host it.
That's right. That's right. It's the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to switch to the indoor, to the Henrico Sports and Events Center. I think if I looked at the schedule correctly, from the first full weekend in January, I guess first non-holiday weekend in January through July, we don't have an open weekend.
I think we're booked every weekend in July, so it's through August.
Through August,
yeah.
okay.
So
I'll take it.
Yeah, not just the weekends. I mean, that we also the local community usage during the week. I think the only day there's like one day that is empty in the building that doesn't have a setup, a breakdown, or an event between now and July too. So we're really making the staff work for it. Yeah. They're really busy, but the building's doing what it was supposed to do when we wanted to build it. So it's very, very active.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, we've talked so much about the indoor facility or an indoor facility like that being a missing piece of the calendar, really from like November to March in the sports tourism landscape. We didn't have anything like this in our county or in the region to be able to do what we're doing. And again, a lot of variety in there as well, but we have some specific events new for 2026 that I want you guys to touch on. So go ahead and hit on some of those, maybe.
I think one of my biggest events that kind of has been a long time coming. We tried to bid on it when we were under construction, but they weren't really sure yet. Some groups took a risk on us under construction and went ahead and booked, but this one wanted to wait till they could really see it. So the U.S. Youth Futsal National Championship will be here over July 4th. That'll bring over 250 of the top teams. It's 14,000 hotel room nights over the week. They were in Kansas City for 20 years. And so Danny Boniface from Richmond Region Tourism and I worked very hard on that bid. We couldn't have done it without some of our local contacts from Futsal RVA. They really helped make that connection and help us sell it. And they're really excited because now they have some of the top futsal teams in the country and they don't have to travel to Kansas City. They get to play in their backyard where they practice and run leagues. So we're really, really excited for that event in July, which is typically a slower period. And then we have a new powerlifting event. It's a world international powerlifting.
Dennis and I will not be
right. Yes. Where they anticipate some world records to be broken and athletes competing from Croatia, Poland, Australia. So I'm really excited about that event. They just had an article in Muscle and Fitness magazine.
So when's that one?
That one's in August. Yeah.
And that one's open to the public.
It is open to the public. Yeah. So that'll be a really cool one. We kind of talked about the balance of the calendar of events. We have a really diverse calendar with a ton of different events between youth and adult. I have futsal. We have a huge youth wrestling event that's grown up to over 40 mats in the building. We host VHSL Girls Wrestling State Championship, a lot of volleyball, a lot of futsal, a lot of basketball. So it's really been fun seeing all the different events that come and go through the building, including those new ones.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to touch on a new one we had last year in July, because I want to connect back to what you were saying about the futsal championship in July. So July had been identified as a need period from our hoteliers, and I feel like we filled a big gap last year with the Next Pro Puma event, futsal this year, but Next Pro Puma's back. Talk a little bit about that event, Michael.
Yeah, so when you look at the calendar, there's certain times of the year from a recruiting standpoint that college coaches are allowed to actually be present in your facility and recruit student athletes, right? So from what Megan and I do, that means that when we see those windows on the calendar, we need to go out and get a travel basketball event and get a good one. So the quote unquote biggest ones are run by the shoe circuits, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, and Puma. We were fortunate enough to work with Richmond Region Tourism and land Puma. Their biggest live period event. It's the second weekend in July. It's a 500 plus team basketball tournament. So they're not just using our facility at the Sports and Events Center. They're also using the Greater Richmond Convention Center. And I was told a week or so ago, hey, we're actually targeting 600 to 700 teams this year. So we need for you to find us some ancillary courts as well. So I may be calling some of those high school director of student activities to see if we can get in on to some of those courts. But you mentioned obviously events being open to the public. This one is also open to the public. You do have to buy a ticket. But for anybody out there who is a fan of basketball and basketball recruiting, I mean, when you look at the court and look at who's playing, we've got kids that are like top 10 in the country. Like if you want to see who's going to be playing in the NBA, you come to this event. My favorite anecdote from last year was the head coach from Ole Miss, Chris Beard, flew all the way to Richmond to watch a kid from Mississippi play one game and then got back on his private jet and flew back to Mississippi or wherever he went, probably somewhere cooler than that.
Over like 200 and some coaches or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
you look over, you see Hubert Davis from UNC, you see Matt Painter from Purdue, you see Will Wade from NC State. That for me was just such a cool moment, especially getting back to that first tournament that I ever booked, and then just seeing the evolution of where we are now. It's just something that I never would have dreamed that Henrico County would be on the map with something like that, and now here we are. So
yeah, and I think the other thing too, we keep going back to these events are open to the public. Yes, they're ticketed events and things, but again, I think it adds to quality of life for our residents as well, because we're bringing different events for them to come and check out and experience. And we haven't had a Coliseum for years, but we are trying to find these special events and activities for our residents. And we're going to tease one now. That's is an owned and operated event that we're doing. We were going back to bids. We bid on some NCAA championships, and we were awarded the 2027 NCAA Division III Women's Volleyball National Championship. So it's cool to have another national championship coming to the event. But to do that, or prior to that, we have to have some collegiate volleyball in the building as well. So we have put together a collegiate volleyball event for this September. So you want to talk about that for a second? And this is a tease, hasn't been officially announced yet. So.
Correct. Yeah, we just met with Randolph-Macon, who we're partnering on to put on this event, and we'll plan to announce with details, press releases, tickets on sale, probably in April. But we're going to host a D3 Labor Day Classic September weekend, that Friday, Saturday of Labor Day weekend, and it'll include Randolph-Macon, Drew University, Southern University, and Mary Washington. We have a great volleyball following in this area with a ton of it in the building. So we're really hoping we can bring some of these young athletes to watch some of these collegiate players and get that event under our belt before we host the national championship in December of 2027.
Yeah, it'd be a good practice opportunity for us, but obviously a serious event, for all these schools that are coming to participate. And hopefully it's something we can continue to keep in the building and grow as well. Because to your point, I mean, the volleyball community here is strong. We've seen it these first couple of months with two events, like one in November, one in December.
Yep, we have
just last month or
huge
a couple weeks
volleyball
ago.
tournaments. Richmond Volleyball Club, a local club, they put on their Volley by the James Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, both at the Sports Center and downtown at the Greater Richmond Convention Center. So we work with the Convention Center on that to have that partnership. And then in December, River City Volleyball Academy, another local group, put on this really fun reindeer rumble. They bring this huge inflatable reindeer that goes in front of the building. They bring Santa out. And that event's grown last year from 75 teams to over 190 this year. So it's been really nice seeing that robust growth from our local partners.
Yeah, definitely. And then staying on the owned and operated, we created another event that'll be held in December, a men's basketball event. So a D3 men's basketball, or national, what do we call it?
Champions Classic.
National Champions Classic.
That's right. Because the teams that are participating in it have all won national championships, and it's again, something that doesn't exist in the country right now. So it's a unique opportunity for us to create this event. So again, Randolph-Macon, Christopher Newport, Scranton, and Babson, all former national champions in D3 are coming here to play basketball December 28th and 29th. And then a month before that, another new event that just happened for the culture, women's basketball event. We had some really, really big teams here, and they'll be back next year as well, right, Michael?
Yeah, correct. So this year we held it over the December 19th through 21st weekend. Local teams, University of Richmond and VCU, obviously mainstays here locally, but also mainstays at our building. We've been really fortunate to host them previously with the Atlantic 10 Women's Conference Championships. We also had Alabama A&M, Coppin State, and then Power Conference schools in Georgia and Penn State. Well, next year that event will be back, but it's going to transition up to Thanksgiving weekend. And also the goal is to grow from 6 teams up to closer to, I believe, 10 to 12. So from what we've been told from John Tater, our tournament promoter, and also I believe a former guest on the Showtime All the Time podcast, we're hopeful that Richmond and VCU will be back, but also I think we'll have some local or state of Virginia schools in Old Dominion. And then also I've heard a rumor that Dennis's very own Ohio State Buckeyes might be coming to the Henrico Sports and Event Center. So we'll have to have John confirm that for us. But yeah, we're really excited. Oh, and as a Florida State fan, I have to also throw out that my Seminoles will be here.
I was going to drop
in
that back.
November.
I know.
He was going to
Like,
forget that. I was like, hold on a second.
Tomahawk chop up right there. So yeah. So be on the lookout for when we announce tickets on sale for 2026.
Can you do anything for the Clemson Tigers over here?
Yeah. We'll have to see if we can get the Tigers out here.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, again, a lot of great new events, and again, owned and operated events, and just very unique and special opportunities for our community. So we've talked a lot about new, but I want to talk about business retention as well, which is again something that you guys focus on. So when we've been fortunate over the years, whether it's been Jeff Cup Soccer for many years, to some of our new promoters that we work with outdoor and indoor. But let's talk about some of those groups. You mentioned a couple of the volleyball groups, but let's talk about some of those groups that are again at the core of what we do and have been again foundational partners for a couple years or many years.
Yeah, I think Megan touched on it when she mentioned Richmond Volleyball Club and then River City Volleyball Club. Obviously, we go to these trade shows and we're going there to attract national groups to come here, but we are so fortunate to be here in the Richmond region where we've got the two aforementioned volleyball groups that we mentioned, Richmond United. I mean, between those two groups alone, that's what, like 12 plus tournament weekends that those two groups that are bringing probably over 2,000 teams to the Richmond region just alone between the tournaments. So that takes a ton of pressure off of us when, I mean, yeah, we're going to go out national and we're going to seek this stuff out. But when you've got people here in your own backyard that not only have the ability to put on these type of events, but want to put on these type of events and seek you out and say, hey, don't ignore us. We can do this just as good as anybody else nationally. And then they show that they can do it year in and year out. It's a win-win for everybody involved. So
yeah. And again, we've had from Big Shots Basketball has been with us from day one, Team Loaded, gymnastics. So I'm just throwing out a couple different, just so everyone knows, like we have some variety in this building.
Do a little bit of everything. Yeah, we have multiple gymnastics groups that are in the arena, which is nice. And what's really cool is we can have gymnastics in the arena with Extreme Heights doing their Queen of Hearts Invitational, and we can have futsal on the other 8 courts because we have that sound curtain. In the fall, we had a gymnastics group. One of our original very first events was the Turkey Tumble, which is 2 gymnastics gyms that come together and put it on. And then we had an arts and crafts Christmas show on the other 8 courts. So we really can do a lot of things simultaneously, which is really nice. And they continue to want to come back, and we want to have them come back. So we try to keep those relationships, stay in touch all year, go see them during their event. A lot of times when we can do those multi-year agreements, and then it's less work on us, and then they really have date equity for their event. So people know, oh yeah, that second or third weekend of November, I know I'm going to this event. They can go ahead and plug it in on their calendar.
And Dennis, you mentioned Team Loaded a couple minutes ago. I do want to get a plug in for the weekend of January 31st through February 1st. That's you talk about a multi-event weekend at the Sports and Event Center. Yep. We'll have the annual Team Loaded Coaches for the Cure event taking place in the arena, which is a high school showcase where we'll have some of the best high school basketball, both locally and nationally, when you have Petersburg playing Archbishop Carroll at the end of that night. But then also on the gym side of the building, we'll have Sportable in there, our adaptive sports group here locally, who's going to be running both a wheelchair basketball tournament and an adaptive sports festival at the same time. So if you're just looking for a wide variety of activity in the building being put on by, homegrown talent here in Richmond, that's definitely one to check out. So.
Yeah, and again, the schedule's packed. You can go to henricosea.com or henricocenter.com, check out the schedule. But again, I think we're very fortunate to work with some really great event organizers, rights holders, event promoters, as I refer to them, and appreciate their trust in us.
Yep.
And bringing their facility bringing their event to our facilities, whether it's indoor or outdoor. We're going to go to one other last special event because it's a big one that we work on. This is year 3 for us, but it's the Atlantic 10 Women's Basketball Championship. Year 3 of our original agreement, and then we have 3 more in a new deal with them. But it is their 50th anniversary, and we've planned a lot around this. And again, one of those real opportunities for our community to come out and see some really good women's basketball. But Megan, we've got a lot of other events within that event happening, so we want to make sure we get a plug for everything else that's going on around A10 weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. They're one of the groups that did take a risk on us. We were doing hard hat tours, and we had to bid on that event. We went up to their offices, and it's been a great first 3 years. We built the foundation, and now we're able to add in those extra layers and those extra events within the event. So we kick off with Wednesday, March 4th. We'll have Community Appreciation Day. So for any first responders, we are offering 2 free tickets for that Wednesday. Just as a thank you, come on out, enjoy some really great collegiate women's basketball on Wednesday. Thursday, we're doing a Chamber on the Courts event to really get the business community out to network, and we're partnering with Chamber RVA, Hanover Chamber, and Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce to get the business community out for that evening. They'll get some networking in, and then that registration will include tickets to that session for the 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. tip-offs. We also have education days, Thursday and Friday, which are really loud, but they're really, really fun, where we give free tickets to the elementary and middle schools that want to sign up to come for a field trip. They get a bag with different information in it, and kind of like a education and sports day. We'll have Megan Engstad and Parney from the Squirrels being the MCs. There may be some musical chairs again. We'll see. But those are some really fun mornings to really get young kids out to the building. And Saturday, we're bringing back the International Women's Day brunch and panel, which will be really fun. We'll do that brunch, and then that registration includes tickets to the semifinals games. We have some great panelists with Melissa Chase. We have our very own Monica Smith-Callahan from Henrico County, Kara Holdsclaw from Princeton, who's also a Dayton alum. And then we have one of our Ortho VA sponsors, Sherma, will be on there too. So we're excited just to hear from some community impact players for the semifinals. And then Sunday, Championship Sunday, we're really excited. So it's going to be a fun week. Happy to have them back and continue to build upon the relationships we have the past couple of years, and keep the community coming out through 2029.
Yep, so tickets are available.
Yep,
Go henricocenter.com. The $20 per session, is that right?
Cheaper than that. They're 15 Monday. They're 15 Monday through Friday, and then for semifinals and championship, it does go up to 20 for the weekend tickets.
And that championship Sunday afternoon, again, for one of those teams, will get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So a lot on the line with this championship. So again, packed schedule for 2026.
Very busy.
Check out our website. Check out our social media channels as well to keep up with all the activity that's going on. And as you can tell, with Megan and Michael, we're blessed with a great team that pour a lot of effort into this to make this all work and deliver, this schedule, and certainly deliver a lot of economic impact for our community. We talked about, what was the number, 14,000 or 17,000 hotel rooms on the futsal, right?
Yep, 14,000 for
4,000 on Next Pro Puma, and it just stacks up, and certainly the month of March with Jeff Cup soccer is just remarkable. So, well, again, we're going to move on to the one last thing that we always do before we sign off is a piece of memorabilia, sports memory, something from your career. So, ladies first, Megan, we'll have you lead off.
So I brought, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big Clemson fan. Go Tigers. And Clemson, maybe not this year. This year was a struggle in football, but previously, football powerhouse for us. So 2016 and 2018 national championships. I was able to go actually to the one we lost. But it was such a good experience. We were in Phoenix. It was incredible. And I just remember staying up and I cried when we won. And at NASCAR, we had a really great partnership with our Coca-Cola friends. And I remember we still do. I remember our dear friend Anita, she texted, told me congrats. And then a couple weeks later said she had a present for me and brought these to my office at Richmond Raceway. But I'm a diehard Clemson fan, even when it hurts.
Even basketball, because I think we've seen video of you at a basketball game, right?
Yes.
I think we can find that clip.
I know.
We may have to insert that into this podcast.
Yep. I went to the ACC championship for basketball, but just diehard Clemson fan all around, and I have these in my office, so I wanted to bring those out.
Oh, nice. Michael, what do you got?
I'm gonna grab mine. So I am a long-suffering New York Giants fan. We weren't always suffering. They used to be good, but it's been some lean years. So I was fortunate enough to get to go to, it was a Giants and the then Redskins, now Commanders, last regular season game. Giants had to win to make the playoffs. There were a lot of rumors that it may have been Tiki Barber's last regular season game. It turned out to be his last game.
Wow.
I'm reading off the stats.
Virginian, right?
Virginia, University of Virginia grad, which that feeds into this. So we went to the game. Tiki had 23 carries, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns. Giants win. He saved Tom Coughlin's job, which helped because then we won some Super Bowls down the road. But so my mom actually worked with a guy who went to UVA with Tiki. Somehow she got a hold of my ticket stub. I don't know how, but I'm just glad that I made it out of the stadium.
You never know how they're,
And managed to get me a personalized autograph from Tiki. It says, "Michael, aim high and be your best." Tiki Barber, 21.
Very nice.
And she presented me with this lovely, plaque memorabilia. So shout out Rebecca. Thank you so much for everything you do for me, including giving me sports memorabilia. So cool.
That's what I love about this business. I mean, just so many memories, whether it's an event that you've worked or as a fan, which is great. So, all right, I got 2 pieces. Stand by. Hang on one. So I'm hiding that one for a second. So I brought the first mini basketball from our very first basketball game. It was a women's basketball game, Delaware versus VCU. December 11th, 2023. My, how time flies. And we were not even open a month, right? No. Is that right?
No, we were new. We were figuring it out.
We were brand new at the Sports and Event Center, and we hosted this women's college basketball game, which was
and it went well.
Which was really cool, and it did. And then look, I mean, we're still rolling with the A10.
Yep.
We've had VCU's played there a few times. U of R's played there a few times. All right, and then I brought this 75th anniversary NASCAR mini car for a couple of reasons. One, because Megan and I worked at the raceway for many, many years, and they're actually coming up on their 80th anniversary now.
Oh my gosh.
Remarkable.
I'm so excited for them.
And I brought it because Michael went to the NASCAR race last year and is now
first time.
And is now like NASCAR Michael around the office.
Time, guys.
So but a lot of great memories at the raceway. And to tie that back to what we do now, if you think, 80 years of NASCAR here and economic impact, and, that was like the original sports tourism event. Our friend Jack Berry, who ran Richmond Region Tourism for a long time, would always tell me that this, NASCAR was, that original sports tourism event. And now look at where we are now with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, those are fun weekends. I had a lot of memories from those weekends. So we'll definitely be out again in August for their anniversary celebration. So that'll be really fun.
And I'll leave everybody with this too. So you think about all the sports that we've talked about and the variety. We are blessed with the opportunity here in Henrico and certainly in our region to have, a professional racing that's here and also professional golf. And, we've got the Korn Ferry Tour Championship that's going to be played in Hanover at the Federal Club, but we are a big part of that and working with the PGA Tour on that sponsorship and keeping professional golf here in our region. I think it's really important to make sure that we point these things out because all these things that we do put a mark on this region nationally. We didn't even get into the discussion about the national television broadcasts associated with all these events, even the ones that we're doing at the Sports Center that are on ESPN or ESPN Plus. The cornhole event. We didn't even talk about the cornhole event. We didn't talk
about cornhole, but that was on ESPN.
That was on the mothership ESPN.
My kids loved it. They were in there.
So again, the visibility that we're able to put on our area, again, and economic impact we talked a lot about. So again, we could keep having these discussions on and fill up a lot more time, but I want to thank everyone for joining us today on the Showtime All the Time podcast, and we'll be back again next month with another special guest or guests. Thanks for joining us.